are fathers aiming to have equal rights and support. I am Kahlil Hassan Stevenson.
And I'm Patrick Samuel.
And we're going to have a good time. We're going to talk to you about what we came to do. Hold on for a second. Let me take the brim off. Y'all see it. You know what it is. Respect it.
New York in the building. New York in the building.
All right, what we want to talk to you about is fathers aiming to have equal rights and support. Fathers who don't get to see their children in their life for whatever reason. And that's why we started this whole charity. And the way we did it was we came up with this Fathers Talk series, as you can see behind me. It's a cool concept that we came up with. We want to talk about co-parenting, the issues that are happening between co-parenting issues. We also have a cool segment where we just have fathers talking. We're bringing on experts. I didn't really want the experts, but they said my opinion didn't hold that much weight, so they wanted experts.
Yep.
So we got experts. We got lawyers, we have therapists, and we got some fact checking going on, and we have all the things necessary so we can figure out the issue so that children get to have both of their parents in their lives equally. And our big goal, which is a big goal, in 18 months, we want to start planning for a Father's March. And in that Father's March, we want Black, white, Latino, Asian, all nationalities, all religions, Democrat, Republican. We want all men to come together for one day. One day, have a day of amnesty. Let's take a break on each other and just be fathers. And we'll have future fathers there, sons, and everybody. And every day we'll have that day of amnesty for Father's Day. And that'll be a cool thing to help bring this all thing together.
Yep.
And let's get some cooperation.
Yep.
So, Pat, I want you to talk to us about this charity because I know it really speaks to your heart.
Yeah, so Fathers Aiming to Have Equal Rights and Support is the charity that we came up with, right?
Right.
I founded it and you co-founded it. The reason why we came up with this because I'm going through the situation really right now. I haven't seen my kids in about a year and a half.
Right.
And part of the reason we started this charity is because me going to court, I'm speaking with other fathers who's going through the same thing.
Right.
And they're like, who's supporting us?
Right.
Who's helping us?
Nobody.
Nobody. Right? And so I felt like we needed advocacy for fathers. So that way we could kind of join together, let them know our stories and try to get our kids back. So we're going to support each other, right? We're going to do organization. We're going to reach out. We're going to let the judges know. We're going to let the lawyers know. We're going to let the attorneys know. We're going to let the lawmakers know that there are fathers who are great dads who's trying to get their children.
Right.
And of course, this conversation doesn't happen in a bubble. Ladies, we need your support as well. We cannot have growth or movement without the cooperation of women, the mothers. And we're talking about everything. We're talking about how to establish boundaries. We're talking about what happens when your man starts dating another woman.
What heard?
What happens when you start dating a man?
That's what it's ugly at.
And what happens if you're still angry? And what boundaries need to be set if people are not cooperating? So we're going to cover all of that and so much more. Parenthood looks so much different. Parenthood looks so much different than it did 50 years ago. So we're going to tackle all of those things.
And how did we get here? That's the question.
Right. That's what we're going to talk about. And here we are in our basement, cozy place. And it's ironic that this is the same place where Pat's children played with my children in this basement. And at this point, I could vouch for him on one thing. This is a good man and a good father.
Yep.
I don't know about how he is with women and all of that.
I mean, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
We're not talking
about
about
me being a dad.
He is a good father.
Let's get back to the topic.
And when I say a good father, I mean I've watched this man drive 4 hours,
5 hours,
a week, 5 hours
to Jacksonville,
on the
Florida,
weekend,
back and forth, 10 hours.
back and forth to watch his son play football.
Yep.
I watched him run drills.
Yep.
Really good father. Also, almost a better father than me in many ways. So it was just heart-wrenching when he came to me with this story.
Yeah.
And the thing that made it so heart-wrenching is my daughter, my 7-year-old, grew up with his kids.
Yep.
And every time she sees him, she's like, where's Paxton? Where's Peyton? So it just doesn't affect the parents. It affects the children
Everybody
and
that's
other
around.
children.
Yep.
And Pat, just I want you to tell the people a little bit about your story and why are we even here to start with, because I know there's other men going through the same thing.
Yeah, so pretty much, my story is just like, every man's story. After the breakup, it gets kind of sketchy and the feelings gets involved, right? And we can't really distinguish between co-parenting and feelings for each other. And so one of the things that I was a great dad, right? And so the only thing that
Still
they
are.
can do,
Still
still are. The only thing that they could do to hurt me was to get the children away from me, right?
Right.
But what that did was that kind of really pushed me to the edge, right? That pushed me to the point where I had to go and try to fight for my children, right? Because as a father growing up, I didn't have my dad in my life. So one of the things I always kind of kept there was like, I'm going to be the best dad possible. Or I looked at friends that I grew up with that didn't have, that had their fathers, and I was like, dang, I wish that was me. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was to make sure that I was a great dad, right? And make sure that I would do everything that I can to, when I was growing up, to imagine on what a father should be like.
All right, so let's do this. I want to introduce somebody that we have here today. We have Latonya Askew, who is a prominent family attorney fighting for men's rights in Atlanta. And she was so gracious to take the time to come here today. So like I said, they didn't want to just go with my opinion, so we had to bring in an expert.
Yep.
So we got an expert here, and I want her to talk to us about your case and other cases that are similar and what we could do better. What's going on with the laws, how we can improve that, and those things. So without further ado, yeah, we're going to welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Tanya, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
It's
for
great to
coming.
be here, and let's get to talking. Let's get down to some business.
All right, let's
Yeah.
get to the business.
The laws
Yes.
for
Laws.
fathers.
Yes.
So what would you say? What are some of the main issues men and families face when they come into your office?
Legitimation,
Yeah.
child support,
Yep.
custody, contempts, and modifying child support in custody. And
Wow.
those are really the main issues that fathers really go through when coming into my office. And this has to do with fathers who were not married to the mother
Yep.
at the
Right.
time the child was married.
Which is
Yep.
Pat's situation.
Which is
situation.
Pat's situation.
Yep.
And then we also have fathers who were married to the mother
Right.
and going through a divorce. And then we deal with parental alienation.
Yep.
So these are the problems that we face.
And you're going to break down all those terms.
I
for
sure
us.
am.
Okay.
So even like, so with my situation, I kind of messed up and did it twice, right? So I didn't marry to both of my sons' mom when the child was born.
Okay.
And so I had to go through two separate situations where I had to get both child's legitimate,
Right.
right? And
When did you find that out, that you had to get them legitimized?
after they took the child from me and I went to court,
Wow.
and they told me these are the steps that I had to take first.
And it's a lot. So typically, when I have fathers to come into my office, Patrick, the first thing I ask is, were you married to the mother? Are you married to the mother? And probably 85% of the time, they are not married to the mother. And that means they have no rights.
Right, yeah.
And what that means is if the mother decides to move to Tokyo,
Yeah.
Florida, South Carolina, they can do whatever.
Yeah.
If they decide to pull the children out of school and homeschool, they can do that. If they decide to do any type of medical care without the father's authorization, or in your case, Patrick, without your authorization, they can do that.
Yep.
You have no rights. And the way I try to explain it to clients that come into my office is you have the sperm, the mother has the egg. That sperm and egg came together. Without your sperm, these children wouldn't be here. However, Georgia law does not recognize your sperm.
Wow.
The only thing they recognize is that egg.
Egg, yeah.
That egg. So then you have to spend tons of thousands of dollars. And when I say tons of thousands, I don't mean 200,000, 300,000. But even if you had to come out of your pocket with $1,000, that's money that could be going to your mortgage.
Yep.
That's money that could be going to your child's college fund. That's money that could be going towards your car note. So
Yep.
then you have to come out with money
Right.
to retain counsel. So the first step is legitimation. Legitimation means you've had a child with with a young lady and you were not married.
Yep.
So in order for you to have any type of say-so in your child's life, you have to petition the court for legitimation.
Yep.
The next step is we have to find out, where does the mother live?
That's the problem.
Where
That's
does
the
she
problem.
live?
So if she takes the kid somewhere and then you can't find her.
Yep.
Now your kid's gone, but you're still in Georgia.
That's right.
How are your rights implemented at that point?
You don't have any rights.
Wow.
So the way that is,
You got a right to pay.
you have of course, you have
You got
a right to pay.
Yeah.
Right. But then you have to put money down for a private investigator.
Yep.
Anybody, a process server.
Yep.
The process server is going to want to know the mother's driver's license number, social security number, date of birth, name, any type of utilities that she's had in her name. I always tell my friends, if you're going to sleep with a man, make sure you get the man's full name, his date of birth, his social security number. And now I'm telling my clients,
Wow.
do you have the mother's name? Sure, I got the mother's name. Do you know her birthday? Sure. What is her social security number?
Yeah, that's hard to get.
I don't know.
Right?
And these are even clients that have been married to these women. They don't even know the social security number. Do you have their driver's license number?
Wow.
No.
Nope.
But I bet you she has your social.
Oh, of course.
I bet you
Yeah.
she
She
has
has
your
everything.
right.
And credit card number.
And credit card number. So to answer your question, Kahlil, what happens is if the mother has taken herself and the children out of state, if you have shown the court that you have done your due diligence and you have hired process servers, private investigators, and you still cannot find that mother, you still cannot locate your child, then what the court will do is go ahead and sign off on the petition for legitimation. However, 9 times out of 10, Patrick, they're not going to award you any type of primary custody because they don't know why the mother fled.
Yeah, they gotta
it's
hit
your
it.
side
Yep.
against their side. So they're going to err on the side of caution and say, well, we're going to give him the order, but if we sign that he is the primary custodian parent, which means that he has these children, he's going to be the primary parent. When he finds the mother, he's going to show the police an order,
Right.
the police handing off these kids. But we don't know the mother side of the story.
Right.
We don't know if the mother fled due to domestic
Right.
violence. We don't
Yeah.
know. But the kicker is you have that signed order stating you have rights to your children.
Yep.
And once you find the mother, then we can proceed and try to get you additional custody rights.
So let me ask you a question, because one of the things that I realized kind of really going through this process dealing with other fathers is the finance piece, right?
Sure.
So even myself, I'm $30,000 in, right?
I can believe it.
Now we have other men who don't have the resource or the
Right.
finances, and they have to stop,
That's right.
right? So what advice do you give them who at the point where they financially can't keep it going?
I have potential clients that come into my office all the time that don't have the finances. They barely have the money to pay for a 1-hour consultation.
Wow.
And keep in mind, my consultation is not expensive. It's $200.
Oh, that's pretty
Right.
good.
And they barely have that
Yeah.
to even pay to
Wow.
see me.
See me, yeah.
So what I do is, if I take your case, this is how much money you need to give to me.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to reduce my charges or my fees or my hourly rate, but you're going to have to do the legwork,
Yeah.
which means you're going to have to find a mother. You're going to have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then I'll go into court for you. But if you want me to do everything and you know your finances are not where they need to be, I mean, come on, you're going to have to do the majority of the legwork. I have a client now, not going to mention any names, doesn't have any money, does not have a lot of money. And my heart took his case, and now he just wants to kind of just play around. And I'm saying, but you don't have any money. You're not doing the legwork.
Right,
So I'm
right.
finding myself doing more work for this young man.
Right.
And he was supposed to be doing the work. So I do work with fathers. I'm only one
good.
person.
Yeah.
Right.
It's only me in my office. I have my paralegal, my legal assistant, my office manager. So if I take your case, I'm only one person, and you don't have the funds, then you're going to have to do a lot of the legwork.
So let me ask you another question.
Sure.
Right? So what of the background and demographics of what you see mostly of the men that goes through this process? Because what I see is a lot of black men that's pretty much kind of really going through this process.
Right.
Because our white counterparts, like they're going through it, but they're actually going through like divorce kind of situations
So
where
you-
they don't
so
have
you
to get
think-
legitimized.
So you think?
So
Yeah.
you think, so go to Cobb County,
Yes.
go to
It's
Fulton
across
County,
the board.
Yeah,
go to
that's a fact.
Newton County,
Yes.
go to Hall County, go to Athens Clarke County,
It's
go
everywhere.
to what's Columbus, Georgia, what is their county? Muskogee County.
Muskogee County.
And you'll see a lot of your counterparts who are white.
White.
Yep.
That's
Right.
through it.
And then the reason why you're not seeing a lot of them per se in court is because they have the parents that are paying the fees to hire these attorneys. So the
Right.
attorneys get together, they sign off on the paperwork, and you pretty much never see the judge.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me
that's good.
ask you a solution-based question.
Sure.
We reached out to a lobbyist so that we could start enacting a bill so that we could get some laws changed. If you had to pick the number one law right now, let's just start with Atlanta, that needed to be changed so things can be better for the child to have both parents in their life, what would that law be and why?
Oh, for Georgia, straight up legitimation. Why does this man have to go and pay to have rights to his child?
Right.
Now, keep in mind, you don't have any rights to your children, but this mother can go to the child support office
And get money.
and get money and give your name, your date of birth, your last known address, your
And that's
employer's
it.
information. Because keep in mind, us women, we're very sneaky. We know.
Yeah.
But she can go to child support and petition to get child support. And let's just say she gives the wrong address. She knows your right address,
Yes.
But she
but she
gives
gives
the wrong.
Khalil's address. Let's
Yes.
say she gives Khalil's address.
Yeah.
You never get served
It
with the
wasn't me.
paperwork.
Paperwork.
It
Yeah.
wasn't me.
And
I
then
ain't
what
do it.
happens? 2-3 months later, you happy because you getting paid that Friday, but what has been taken out of your check?
Garnished.
You've been
Wow.
garnished. So the number one law, and I'm screaming this to the
Right.
hills and mountains,
Yeah.
is legitimation. A father should not have to pay to have rights to their child. Do a DNA test. I tell all my potential clients and all my clients, have you had a DNA test? Oh, I don't need one. Child got my nose, got my ears, got my mouth, everything.
Yeah.
Just so you
And
know,
then
all
you
kids
find
have
out
noses.
It's not yours.
it's not yours. And I
Right.
have married men who are married. And then
Wow.
they later find out, because what happens to us women, Tanisha, what do we do when we get mad? We say hurtful things to the person that we're in a relationship with. And you have women that say, that's why Junior is not your son. Junior's 15 years old.
Wow.
Then you take Junior, swab Junior's mouth behind mom's back, you swab your mouth, you send in.
Right.
And then you find out you've been raising this child for 15 years and Junior is not yours. So to answer your question,
Right.
the number one law is legitimation.
So then let me ask you this: legitimation. If you could just break that down,
Sure.
like in layman's term, what does it mean, and why do the courts require it? Why not just a DNA test and everybody's good?
You're asking a good question, and I don't know. I don't know why a court requires a man to pay to have rights to their child and or children. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
And is it just in Georgia? Or
It can
where-
happen in Alabama, New York,
Florida.
Florida, next door. I went to law school in Florida.
Yep.
They have legitimation laws. Their laws are different, but they do have it.
Right.
So I would tell all of my potential clients and all the men of the world, do a DNA. The mother does not have to be with you because I'm gonna give you another example. I got a call from a young lady, and she works at a big firm out here in Atlanta, and the partner of the firm you guys have heard of, and it's not a family law firm; it's a civil litigation firm. And her son was expecting a baby, and her husband kept saying, "This child is not yours. It's not yours." And he said, "No, it's mine. It's mine." And he was, he's in the Army out in Muskogee County, in what's that, Columbus, Georgia. And the mother started not answering his phone calls and just started being absent. And after the child was born, he said, "I need a DNA." She would not do it. She finally
Wow.
agreed 2 or 3 weeks later. What do you think happened?
It wasn't a
It
strike.
wasn't
He
a
wasn't the
child.
father. And this kid is like 21, 22 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can always, let me tell you, you can always go to a Walgreens, a CVS, and they have behind the counter, just like they have condoms, and just like they have, what is it, the pill that you take, or women take in order not to
The
get
Plan
pregnant.
B.
Right. And you can ask for a DNA test.
Plan A need to be them condoms.
Plan A needs to be the condoms. But you can ask for a DNA test, and what you do, Patrick, is you swab your mouth, you swab your child's mouth, and you mail it in, and the results come in. And without the mother even knowing, you know if the child is yours or not. Now, is this admissible in court? Some judges will let it in and some judges don't. Some judges want you to actually go to a lab
Right.
and get a bona fide test
Which kind
done.
of makes sense.
Which
Yeah.
makes sense. However, if you just want to know before you go and spend
Exactly.
thousands and
Right,
thousands of
right.
dollars
Absolutely.
for an attorney, this is what I suggest. But to answer your question, Tanisha, I don't know. It's the
This
stupidest.
thing.
Right.
It's the stupidest
Yeah.
law because you're not charging the mom any money.
Right.
She doesn't get charged to go and put you on child support.
Yep.
And how about this? You start paying for a child, and you're paying for this child 2 or 3 years that the mother has went and put you on child support. Your check is being garnished. You can't afford an attorney, and then somehow you get the money to afford an attorney, and you file a petition for legitimation. The court requires you guys to do a DNA, and you've been paying for this kid for 3-4 years. Your check being garnished, and then you find out.
It's not
And
yours.
do you get that money back?
Oh, they say sue the state, and then the state says sue the mother. You think they're gonna go that far? And how much money do you think the mother has?
Exactly.
Right,
Right.
right. So let me ask you this: since legitimation
Legitimation.
is the number one thing that we would change, what would it look like in lieu of that?
I think what would it look like is a man going to court petitioning for custody, some type of custodial rights of his kid or kids. That means whether he wants to be the primary custodial parent, which means you will have your child or children more than 50% of the time, or joint physical, which means you share 50-50. Mom has the child 1 week, you have the child 1 week.
Out the gate.
Right, out the gate.
Yeah.
And or joint legal custody, where you may be a truck driver per se, and you may say, look, I'm on the road Monday through Friday. I can't have my child or my children more than 50% of the time, but I want to have them at least every other weekend. And that's
Right.
joint legal custody.
Yeah.
And then you have a say-so in their education,
Station. Yep.
whether they
Right.
go to public school,
Yep.
private school, homeschool. I keep mentioning that because we were just hit with a pandemic. And during that pandemic, so many children were homeschooled. They were doing virtual school. But when the schools started opening back up, what were moms doing? Sending them back to school. Well, then you had dad saying, well, I'm not comfortable with my child going back to school. And mom says, oh, you don't have any rights. They're going back to
Right,
school.
right,
Then
right.
you have medical. Then you have religion. Where will your children worship at? And the biggest thing I get from fathers is sports, because most fathers want their kids to play what? Football.
Yep.
And then you have most moms saying no because of the concussions.
Right.
Right.
But the point of the matter is you will still have a say so. You can still say, look, I want my kid to play football. And the mom says no. And the court say, well, you know what? Patrick has the final say so. Patrick's child is going to play football. You have that say so. You matter.
Yeah.
And your
Right.
kids know you matter.
Yes.
Absolutely.
In
So
the
I
court
got to.
size, do you think men matter right now?
I think more of the liberal courts, and when
Yeah.
I say liberal, and I know judges are going to be watching this, I say Fulton County.
Okay.
Gwinnett is becoming more liberal. Cobb County, with the new judges on the bench, who are more women. There are more women on the bench, which it may seem bad, but it seems good because they're, more or less liberal. DeKalb County, definitely liberal, because of course that's predominantly black. And then you have Clayton, that's predominantly black. When you have these judges that are sitting on the bench and they have sons, or you have the women judges who have married men that are fighting for their children, I think is more understanding. But then you have more conservative courts, such as Coweta County, where I had a certain judge, not gonna mention any names, that says, Miss Askew, you did a hell of a job. You put on a hell of a case. But I'm from the old school. I just believe that mothers should have primary custody. So although I believe your client would serve the kids' interest best, I just believe that I'm going to give the custody over to the mom. Now, how do you think my client felt?
Yep.
And you know what? That's interesting, and that's something that we talk about in our later shows.
Sure.
Is that the statistics show that when you have a male single parent and a female single parent and then a married couple, the male single parent fares just as well as a married couple,
If not better.
if not better. And the single female, we know the statistics are horrific when it comes. And I'm not knocking women saying that they're
Oh,
not
no,
great
no.
moms. I'm just saying that the statistics show
Right, it's a
that
fact.
the child really fares better with the men. But in our mind, if you ask and poll people, even men, everybody says, no, they're better off with the mom, but the statistics just don't
When the
seem to
last time
support
you
that.
took that poll?
I want to say that poll, I think the poll was done in 2018, and then what they did was they offered the reasons why, and two of the reasons why they suggested that the poll showed that children fare better with their fathers is because fathers have access to more women to help them, and single mothers have a lot of mental health challenges when it comes to dealing with the children.
Anxiety, depression, and then
things like that.
Still having feelings for the other party. Well, what's happening now, you guys, is that you're having mothers that are going to school and they are pursuing their higher education. They're getting their master's degrees, they're getting their MDs, their JDs. I have my JD. They're getting their PhDs, they're getting their certifications. They're owning their own business, whether that be a hair salon, a nail salon, a boutique. They're climbing versus what was going on 50 years ago. They're climbing. So what happens is they don't have that much time to spend with their children. And who's at home spending time with the children? The father. So now we have these custody cases. I have a guy that just retained me last week. He's a executive for a big corporation here in Georgia. His wife works with a lot of celebrities. She does a lot of what is she? A wardrobe coordinator for a lot of celebrities, and they're going through a divorce. Well, guess who takes the kids to the doctors?
He does.
My client. Guess who goes to the PTA? Guess who is a member of the PTA?
He is.
My client. Guess who goes to all the parent-teacher conferences?
He is.
My client. Guess who goes to all the extracurricular activities? My client.
Right.
My client is there. So times are changing. Me, I want to have a child one day. I have my own firm. My office is not 9 to 5. I could be up to 10 or 11. So what happens with me? I get married, I have that child, and I'm so involved in my business, but my counterpart, my husband, he's at home with that child. So how does that work if we were to split and we were to have to go to court?
Right.
Who's more
good.
involved? So times are changing.
Yeah.
They are, but
Times
not
are
fast
changing.
enough.
Not
fast
fast enough. And as Tanisha said, when you guys polled, you have a lot of women that deal with a lot of anxiety.
Yes.
You have a lot of women that are so focused on the father and what the father is doing,
Yes.
who he's dating,
Yes.
who he's married
Married
to.
to.
Yes.
They are so focused on that they're not focused
Yes.
on themselves.
Right.
And then that's where you get the depression and the anxiety.
And I will say the poll was originally taken in 2017. It was last modified July 19th, 2023. So
Let's do
it
a new
is.
poll.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
We need
I got
a
a
new
question.
poll.
I actually got a two-part question
Sure.
for you. The first question is, what do men do if the mother of the child takes the child out of state?
Okay.
One, is that a kidnapping charge, right? Because they don't know where the child is at. And then secondly, once they do find the child and everything really comes to light, can they take them to civil court to sue them for all the fees and the money that they allocated to spending to try to find their child from them?
So the first question, it's not kidnapping, Patrick, if you don't have any rights. If you don't have any rights. So let me give you an example. You and this young lady have a child together. You have not legitimated your child. The mother can take that child anywhere. If you were to do the same thing, it would be kidnapping.
Kidnapping. Wow.
It would be kidnapping. The
Wow.
second thing
Wow.
is if you are married to a young lady and that young lady takes that child, y'all are having issues, and that young lady takes that child out of state, out of the jurisdiction of Georgia that we call it, then she hasn't done anything wrong in the court's eyes because you have just as much rights because you're married to her.
Yeah.
You have just as much rights as she does. If you were married to this young lady and you decided to take the kids out of state while you were married to her and there's no court order, there's no kidnapping because y'all are married.
Right.
Y'all are married. Now keep in mind, you can legitimate a child after you marry. You could have had a child with this young lady and y'all weren't married and y'all decide later on to get married. Once y'all decide later on to get married, the child is legitimated.
By marriage.
Check you out.
All right.
By marriage.
Told y'all they no experts. I got this.
Hello?
And
Let me work.
the second question you asked is about all the fees, the attorney fees you have paid. Yes, in civil court.
can.
But the kicker is you have to have some type of order. And you have to prove that the mother has been evading service. The mother has not followed the order. So for instance, in your situation, You're trying to find the mother. You find the mother, and you show the court proof that she has evaded service. You show the court that we've had a private investigator, process server, police officers trying to serve her, and you spent $2,000 trying just to get her served. And if you show all the affidavits of all the police officers that have signed the affidavit saying we have tried to serve this young lady, process service, private investigators, then 9 times out of 10, the court will reimburse you your money.
Wow.
Wow.
Now,
That's great.
attorney fees. Now, attorney fees. If there's a solid order that states Patrick, Kahlil is supposed to have their kid, ABC. Kahlil, you're supposed to have your child, ABC. And the mother is not following that, and you have to retain an attorney to file a petition for contempt. Contempt means they are in contempt of the order. They have thumbed their nose up at the court order. They're not following it. Then you need to have an attorney that will file a petition for contempt and ask for attorney fees such as 91514, which means that we need our attorney fees back.
Yeah.
They've had to do this. This
Right.
young lady has pretty much thumbed her nose up at the court. She hasn't done what she's supposed to do. Then there are also statutes where you can file for attorney fees after a divorce when a mother has not followed the order. And or during the course of the action, because there could be a temporary order that says, Patrick, you're going to get primary custody temporarily until we finalize the order, and the mother has not followed that order. Then again, you can file a contempt and ask for attorney fees.
Wow, that's great. So let me ask you a question. So what advice would you give men who's losing hope, right? Who done everything that they've done, but at this point, say a year in, they're just losing hope and they want to give up?
Like, what steps can they take?
What steps can they take?
The losing the hope, Tanisha and Patrick and Kahlil, it's hard because I'm not a father.
Yeah.
I'm not even a mother yet.
Yeah.
Keep hope alive.
I'm trying to keep hope alive
Yeah.
to have my child. It's hard to ask a father or a young man to not give up hope when their mortgage is due, their rent is due.
Yeah.
When they have another child by another young lady and
Right.
child support is due and they don't want to go to jail. They have a car note that's due. They're living in their mother's basement. They don't have any money. And then when they go out in the world, they're being beat up.
Yes.
It's hard. Only thing I can say is don't give up hope. Save your money. You can always look out for attorneys who such as myself, I can lower my fees a little bit and let you do the
We
footwork.
appreciate that.
But you have to be able to do the footwork.
But see,
What is some of that footwork? Like, what do they? What can they do to be proactive before she gets a hold of? Before her and her mother get to?
Oh, I love how you
pop it
say
off.
her and her mother.
She
Her
and mom get
and
to
the
pop it
child,
off.
the child's grandmother.
Yeah, like the
Right.
grandmother. They before they get together and start plotting. What can the father do?
When you first meet a young lady that you're interested in, get her full name.
yeah.
Just get her full name. That's not
What
hard.
if their body's crazy?
Take
What
pictures.
are you gonna do?
All right, you gotta get the name.
Take pictures.
All right, I'm
Yeah.
back.
Take
I'm back.
pictures of the young lady. Get her driver's license
License.
Pictures
number.
are
And when I say driver's license number, you have her. Well, she has your driver's license number. She's getting that while you sleep.
Yeah.
Find out her
Absolutely.
social security number
Yeah.
before you sleep with
They
her.
get your driver's license number while you sleep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guilty as
Damn.
Yeah.
charged.
But see, that's why.
Guilty as charged.
But see,
Oh my God!
But see,
Guilty as charged.
that's why fathers, that support is so important, because
Right.
the thing that you just said,
Right.
for men that's losing hope,
Right.
Right.
we're here to keep hope
Yeah.
alive, like
Right.
Trying.
like Hassan said, right?
Right.
To help you with therapists, to help you with legal fees,
Right.
to let you know that you're not in it by yourself, to keep going, because sometimes it be that little bit push that you get to keep
Right.
the fight going before
Right.
before you pack it up.
Right, but you have to keep hope, and then know where the mother. To answer your question, Tanisha, know where the mother lives.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand. You've been with this woman. Y'all have slept together. Y'all have
Totally
had
understand that.
Thanksgiving, Christmas together, and then you don't know where she could go. You
Right.
know her family isn't. Find out where her
Right.
family
Family
is.
is,
Find
yeah.
out where her
Find out where her
family
best
yeah,
friend
friend
is.
is. Yeah.
Get involved.
Yes.
Don't just be sleeping with this young
Yeah.
lady.
Yes.
And
Right.
keep in mind, when you have a young lady that you're, because there's some men and there's some women that will just sleep with a person. Oh, we don't have no relationship. We're just sleeping together. But then
Typically.
but then what happens when
Not me.
when she gets pregnant?
Never.
What happens?
Oh, they might
Then
want-
you don't know
yeah.
the person you got pregnant.
You on Father's Talk series trying to figure it out.
You on the couch.
Exactly.
I got
Right.
our last question for you.
Yeah.
Sure.
And this is, I want to speak to what is your thoughts on the criminalization of child support? A man who has to go to prison if he cannot afford the child, and the woman, if they cannot afford the child, they get assistance. I personally feel we should decriminalize child support. What is your thoughts?
Or the
on that?
woman who is ordered to pay child support, because we have women that are ordered to pay child support, and then you have judges that say, I'm just gonna give her a smack on the hand. I'm gonna give her a chance.
Right.
Then we go back to court 6 months later. She still hasn't done it. I'm gonna give her a smack on the hand. Out of my 13 years of practicing, I have not seen one woman go to jail for failure to pay child support.
Wow.
They keep getting smack on the hand, smack on the hand, smack on the hands. They pay attorney fees, but they don't go to jail. What ticks me off is, yes, child support is needed. Yes. If there
Absolutely.
are two separate homes,
Absolutely.
that child has to be able to have a roof over his or her head at both homes.
Absolutely.
Not just the mother's home. I think it's a gross injustice for child support to be based on a gross income. Gross means before taxes are taken out, not your net. You don't bring home your gross. You bring home net.
Right.
But child support is based on gross. I think that's a gross
No pun
injustice.
intended.
Exactly. I think that's an injustice. I think basing it on we have these social media pages, and I tell my clients all the time, stop putting your business on social media, because what happens is you're putting your business on social media, and you have women that go on social media, and my client will say, oh, I blocked her. But did you block her 15 friends?
Right.
Did you block everybody else? And then when we go to court, then you have judges that say, oh, well, you went to Jamaica, you went to Bahamas, you did this.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to base some child support based on you can afford this. And then you have the father saying, I went on a business trip with Kahlil with 10 other people. Kahlil paid for it. I
Right.
mean, what's the issue? I didn't pay
Yeah.
for anything. But then you have some judges that say, I don't believe that. You bring Kahlil in to testify for you. Look, he went there on business. He was my photographer. He was my producer. Judges don't believe it because you post so much on
Yeah.
social media. And it comes back to bite you in the butt.
But should they go to jail?
Should they
that
go to
be
jail?
A criminal thing. If you cannot afford the child support, should you have to go to jail?
I like how you said if you cannot afford. If
Yes.
you cannot
Cannot
afford
afford it.
and you are trying, especially if you just gotten out of prison. Because keep in mind, child support don't stop while you in prison. It
Right.
keeps adding up. And then
How
you
do
come
pay
out.
child support when you're in prison?
Oh, they don't stop.
Oh, wow.
You don't. They don't stop. Then no, I don't. If you can't afford it and you're legitimately trying it, and I don't catch you in the Bahamas or Jamaica or having a new car. Now, keep in mind, I represent both fathers and mothers,
Right.
and I have fathers who legitimately can afford child support. They just
don't
won't pay.
pay it.
Then no, I don't think they should have to go to prison. But fathers who can pay and just say, catch me if you can, and thumb their nose up at court orders, and you see this child is over here struggling, you see the
Right.
mother is struggling.
There is that.
Then yes. And
Okay.
that goes for mothers too.
That's fair.
Where fathers have
Kinda.
primary custody of their children and mothers who are refusing, what's good for one is good for the other.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, thank you. That was some great
Thank you.
feedback.
Appreciate
And
it.
we appreciate having you here
Thank
today.
you for having me.
Yeah.
I
For our
appreciate it.
first time having you, and hopefully you'll be a regular contributor.
I sure
here.
will. I
And
sure will.
You did talk about some cool things that she wants to do to give some incentives out there for guys who need help with legitimation and those things. So we'll have a nice contest to help you guys out there.
Sure.
And maybe if you need some legal fees. But if you need help, this is the lady to see. She's
Where can
really
they
good at
find
what
you?
she does and passionate.
Askew Law and Mediation. I am on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Just look up Askew Law and Mediation. My office number is 919-1779. And you can look me up on social media, Askew Law and Mediation, Attorney Latonya Askew. I have a great team. I have Shannon Brown as my paralegal. I have Valerie Smith as my office manager.
Nice.
I have Janiyah Brown as my legal assistant. And I have Praise as my, as my legal, I don't want to say legal consultant. What is she? My personal consultant. Okay. So I have and does all my social media Taylor. So we have a huge team and we want to help all fathers out here.
Love it.
And
Latonya.
she's down with us.
Yes, I am.
Latonya, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And now, before we end the show, we have an exclusive interview from the anonymous Katman Vittle.
For safety reasons, we're going to conceal your identity. Katman Vittle, how did you get into this situation where you could not see your own child?
Well, me and my girl had been together for 10 years. I loved that girl. She was my everything. Meow. Excuse me, sorry.
No, it's fine. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine. It's just everything was a lie for 10 years. Meow. Oh, damn it. She was making me my favorite cereal in the morning, and it wasn't until too late I found out it was real cat food. Meow. And now I have this terrible condition. She won't let me see my kids. I mean, it's not my fault. I was set up.
That's horrible. Your son is 7 years old, and you guys seem to have had a great relationship. Is it the condition that causes her to not let you see him?
That's what she tells me. Meow, my apologies. It can't be that. He loves me for me. It's that new guy she's dating, I believe. Meow. I'm going to see my son. I call Father's Charity, and they're going to help me get that dog back in me. They got me a therapist and helped me get an attorney. Meow. Damn it.
Okay, I have heard of them. They are great at helping dads with legal assistance and therapy. Do you think your ex would go on Father's Talk to discuss the issues?
She said she would. I'm looking forward to it.
Just talking about it cures my condition kind of a bit.
Okay, I hate to ask this question, but at no point did the cat food taste like cat food?
Meow, meow. Are you trying to trigger me? It was good. It was the milk. It was the meow. It was the honey. Don't worry. Once I talk the Father's Talk, I'll get the dog back in me. I used to be a dog.
Okay, sorry to trigger you. Okay, that's it for now. We will talk to you after the show.
Thanks for having me, but y'all did tell me I'd be an anonymous man, but for somehow you used my real name.
Katman Vittle is your real name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done with this interview. I cannot believe I'm doing this. I told y'all I wanted to interview Cat Williams. This is ridiculous.
Hey, wait till I get that dog back in me. You'll see. When I get that dog back in me, you'll see.